How to install Cockpit on Pop! OS Linux 22.04. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to install Cockpit on the Pop! OS desktop distribution, and why you might want to. Yeah, Pop! OS is one of my primary operating systems. I use it every day for for the vast majority of my work, my productivity every day. The other day I was taking care of a few tasks, and I thought I should really do something to make this more efficient. It's not like I mind using the command line and working with different tools, because I really do. But some days I would much rather do everything under one roof. Even better, I have other machines to deal with that could benefit, with a more efficient solution. So, it dawned on me, why don't I just do that? There's obviously a tool that's perfect for the job, and that tool is Cockpit, and it makes the Linux admin tasks considerably easier. Although some consider Cockpit more of a server solution, there's absolutely no reason why it can't be used on a desktop as well. In fact, I wholeheartedly support using Cockpit on both servers and desktops. Why wouldn't you want a single location to manage things like updates, users, networking, services, logs, storage, and more? So if you'd like to try your hand with a web-based GUI to manage your desktop OS, Cockpit is the way to go. Okay, let me show you how to install Cockpit on Pop! OS Linux 22.04. Okay, so what you'll need to install Cockpit is a running instance of Pop! OS and a user with sudo privileges. Okay, I have both of those, so we're good to go. Okay, so the first step in how to install Cockpit on Pop is let's open up the terminal, and let me find okay, here we go, and just do a complete system app update and upgrade operation here. So let's just do the standard update and full upgrade operation, and then we can move on to the next step. And if the kernel has to be upgraded, if the kernel gets upgraded during this process, then you want to do a reboot. Otherwise, if you're all zeroed out, you're good to go. And if you just have regular sys updates and app updates and patches, then you probably can just stay right here. You don't have to do a reboot. Only if there's a kernel update or a kernel patch. Okay? So we're all zeroed out down here. Okay, the system is updated, and we can move on to the next step. Okay, here's the command to install Cockpit with apt. So once you have this keyed in here, enter on that, and we'll see what happens. It should install it. Let's see if I get prompted or not. Okay, no prompting. Well, let's see if we got no prompting. Okay, it just starts doing it. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll wait for the installation to finish, and then we'll go ahead and do some more operations with Cockpit. Okay, we're all good there. Okay, Cockpit installed, and we're on to the next step. Okay, so once Cockpit has been installed, we're going to go ahead and use systemctl, and I'll explain this real quick here. We're going to enable the service now, enable it so that it'll start automatically after you reboot again. So across reboots is the enable, and then if it's not started, to start it now. Okay, so we're going to start it now if it's not already started, and it'll be enabled so it will start automatically across reboots. Okay, so once you key that in, of course you could have just said, I want to start. You could say start. This is a good way to do it, though. I think you can go start Cockpit by itself and enable by itself as well. So this is kind of a 2-for-1, where you start it now and you start it for later. This is a good way to do it. Or you can use 2 lines, and start would be for now, And I believe enable would be for later. So you don't have to do it in one line. You can do it in 2 lines. But this is good though. People use this a lot. This is a good way. This is a good way to use systemctl to enable and to start your services now. This should be start, but just know that now is the same as starting. Okay, so once that's keyed in, go ahead and enter on that. Okay, no errors. That should be good. Now I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to back out. I'm going to remove the enable and the now, and I'm going to check the status. Should be green, active, loaded, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you get to get the status here. Enter on that. Okay, good. It's loaded, it's active, it's green, it's listening. Okay, great. And you can see here it's enabled. So it started, and it's running now, and then it'll be started later by the enabled flag here. Okay, that's good. Now we can go ahead and we'll try to access Cockpit. Okay, so once everything is up and running, we're going to access Cockpit. Now you should open a browser, your default browser, and point it to localhost :9090. Or you could just use the IP address of your desktop if you like. That's fine as well. A fully qualified domain name probably won't work, and I'm not sure if the actual the alpha numeric host name will work either. I'm not sure. But certainly, if you key in your local internal LAN private IP address, that should work. Or since you're already on the local machine, the local host, you could just use local host, and the port will be 9090. So once you key that in here, I'm just going to go with a local host :, and the port will be 9090. So once that's keyed into your address bar of your browser, go ahead and enter on that. Okay, once you've opened your default browser and you've pointed it to the local host or your local IP address here, with the port number 9090, and you enter on that, then you should get the Cockpit login window. Now, you're going to have to log into Cockpit, and you could just simply use your regular login credentials. This essentially is your server. If you're on a desktop, this essentially is your server. So whatever you would normally use to log into your POP desktop, key those same credentials in here. So I'll key in my login here. Tab down, enter my password like I was logging into my POP desktop, and then we'll just log in from there. And yeah, I guess we go ahead and save that. Okay, and we're in the Cockpit web console here. Yeah, okay. The Cockpit login screen that we were just looking at, that has the Ubuntu branding, and it kind of threw me off a little bit too. But even though you see the Ubuntu branding, it's still running on Pop! OS, which is the distro that we're actually working on here. So even though you see the Ubuntu branding on the Cockpit login screen, don't be thrown off by that. You're still going to be running on your local Pop installation. Okay, so once you've logged in, and we're logged in here. See the address here? This is the endpoint that we're at here on that server. The system endpoint here. So once you're logged into the web console, you're going to we'll see a warning here that we need to turn on administrative access. So we're going to click the warning, and when prompted, we're going to type in our user password to elevate our permissions. Okay. So you see here, web console is running in limited access mode. And then we're going to click on this button here, turn on administrative access. So we'll click on that, and I guess I was expecting that I was going to be prompted for a password, but I wasn't. But either way, we've been elevated to administrative access here. Okay, this is where we want to be. So we'll close on that, and then you can just go ahead and play with. Let's scroll up and down real quick. You can look at it. You could browse around all the options here later. Scroll up and down here real quick. Check this out later. See what's going on with that. Otherwise, it seems like it's been installed, started. We were able to launch the server or the client to the server and log in and escalate to administrative privileges. Everything looks good. So I think that's pretty good for this tutorial as far as installing Cockpit on Pop! OS Linux 22.04 LTS, which is what I have. Okay, so we have the Cockpit Dashboard, and we got rid of the warning, and we're on the Cockpit Dashboard here. This is where you want to be. Okay. So congratulations. We've made managing our Pop! OS desktop a bit easier. I'm surprised that Linux desktop distros don't install Cockpit by default and make the Cockpit Dashboard easily accessible from the desktop menu. Even though that will probably never happen, getting Cockpit installed is quite easy. I guess they just want you to use the command line. Anyway, enjoy this simplified management of your favorite Linux distro. In my case, Pop is one of my favorites. I also run a few others as well. Pop, Ubuntu, Fedora, Rocky, OpenSUSE, Arch, or Endeavor. So you can use this on your favorite Linux distro other than just Pop! OS.